What's up, guys, and welcome back to Down the Wire. Before I get into today's video, I just want to talk about my upload schedule from now on with the NFL season coming up. And if you're not interested in that, I'm going to put a timestamp ahead so you guys can skip to the video and what's in the title. So, I took a 1-month hiatus from YouTube for a little while. That's because summer was around and I had a little bit of bad luck. For example, I had a video coming out this week on Fantasy. That audio file got corrupted. I was on vacation where I couldn't bring my mic and my laptop and everything. I couldn't bring everything to record. And then I had a lot of video ideas that I just didn't feel were quality enough to put on this channel. I only want to put stuff on here that I'm proud of. And I didn't want to put the stuff that I had on. Either the information was outdated because the next day something else came out reversing everything I just said, proving it wrong, or the story just got dry. No, I knew that nobody was going to be really interested in it. So because of that, I'm gonna release a video now, and it's gonna be the start of my new upload schedule. I'm gonna try to get at least one video out per week on the NFL. That video is gonna be a prediction series. I'm going to pick the picks for the week, all the games. I'm gonna do a flat out series. I'm not gonna do with spreads. If you guys want me to do that, if you guys want me to do spreads, put that in the comments below. I always read the comments. I always look for helpful advice. I could do spreads. I'm just going to start off as just straight up pick 'em, just for now. And yeah. Then I'm going to do, if any breaking news comes out, if there's any games I want to talk about, anything crazy happens, then I'm also going to put a video out like that. And that's the plan for NFL this season. About halfway through the NFL season, NBA is going to start back up. I'm also going to do a series on that, obviously. My Nets got good this year, so I'm going to be talking about the Nets a lot, probably. I'm a little fan biased, I'm not going to lie. And yeah, that's just the schedule from now on. There's obviously going to be exceptions. Holidays, I'll probably take a break, but I might upload a video beforehand. I'm new to YouTube. I don't really know what I'm doing, to be honest. I'm just trying my best and trying to put out quality that I feel is acceptable, that you guys want to watch. If you have any suggestions, any advice, put it down in the comments below. Like I said before, I read everything. Alright. Now into the video. Alright, so for today, I want to talk about my NFL season predictions. Not this week's predictions, my season predictions overall. That means awards, division leaders, individual stats, and Super Bowl champion, obviously. I'm going to start off with my MVP, though. This year, I'm going with Baker Mayfield. Second-year quarterback out of Cleveland. First off, let's just admit, he's going to improve. And he had a great rookie season last year, breaking the rookie touchdown record previously held by Peyton Manning last year, only starting in 12 games. Because his coach, let's face it, had no faith in him. Hugh Jackson had no faith in Baker Mayfield. At all. Greg Williams showed a little bit more after Baker already became the starter and Hugh left in Week 8. But Baker is going to be with a coach that finally trusts him. It's going to put the ball in his hands and let him run the offense. Not to mention, he added Odell Beckham Jr. from the Giants. The Browns went out and acquired him this offseason, making, in my opinion, the biggest splash of the offseason, the biggest story. And Baker Mayfield is going to do better with Odell Beckham Jr. It's just a given. Odell's also working with his former LSU teammate, Jarvis Landry. They have a connection. They're like brothers on and off the field. What this means for fantasy, I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. But what this means for the team's success, it's going to definitely help. David Njoku's still there. Nick Chubb's going to be there until Kareem Hunt gets back from his suspension. Still, Nick Chubb still might have that starting job, depending on how well he performs. He's very talented. He could always keep that job. But let's face it, the MVP award isn't only a statistical award. It doesn't always go to solely the best player. It's also a story award. Baker Mayfield has a story that's out of a fairy tale. A 2-time walk-on, a 3-star recruit out of high school, only 4 FBS teams offered him a scholarship. Only 4. New Mexico, Rice, Washington State, and Florida Atlantic. Wound up going to Texas Tech as a walk-on, transferred to Oklahoma, walk-on, led them to the playoffs. They lost to Georgia eventually, and won the Heisman, and won as the first pick in the draft to the Browns. It's a story that every kid dreams about. And that's going to affect the voters' polling. I believe he's going to put up around 4,200 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, and probably he was interception prone last year. I'm going to keep it at about the same interceptions. Going to go with 14 interceptions for the season. Odell Beckham Jr. is going to have a good year. Not as well as he had in the Giants though, because he's splitting reps with Jarvis and Rashard Higgins, who had a very good year last year in the absence of just dealing with that whole fiasco. He had a very good year, all things considered. And yeah, I think Baker Mayfield is going to wind up winning MVP. To many people's surprise, if you looked at him last year, you thought first pick a quarterback going to the Browns. He's talented. I like him, but did I really think he was going to win MVP? No. But now, looking at everything, all things considered, head coach, team talent, story, I think it makes sense. I'm locking in Baker Mayfield as my MVP this season. All right, next, I want to get into my Offensive Rookie of the Year. I believe we're going to follow the same trend that's been going on for the past 2 years, now going to be 3. I think it's going to be another running back. 2017, we had Alvin Kamara. 2018, we had Saquon Barkley. And in 2016, we should have had Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott deserved to win the Rookie of the Year more than Dak Prescott, I believe. But this year, I'm going with Chicago Bears running back David Montgomery. I'm sold on this kid. He looks like a stud. Matt Nagy is raving about him. Everybody on the Bears is saying how talented this kid is. And Chicago, for the past couple of years, have always had very talented very, very good running backs that have had amazing individual seasons. Jordan Howard. It's just disrespectful what they shipped this kid off for. He was traded for the Eagles for nothing. In 2016, he had the second most rushing yards in the league behind Ezekiel Elliott. 13-13 was his 13-13. Then next year, 1,122. And then last year, 935. His touchdowns increased every year. He went from 6 to 9 to 9 again. And then look at Tevin Coleman last season. Tariq Cohen, my bad. He got 350 plus receiving yards. Mitchell Trubisky's arm isn't big enough downfield to make an impact. Exceptional impact downfield. He's a good quarterback, I believe. But they always use their running back. David Montgomery is going to be used in the short game. You can count on it. When Mitchell Trubisky doesn't have a man open downfield, expect a little dump off. And they're going to run him a lot. David Montgomery, I believe, is in the best situation out of the other running backs in this draft. The one that comes to mind immediately is Josh Jacobs on the Raiders. That's all I have to say. He's on the Raiders. I don't trust the Raiders. I'm sorry, I don't trust Gruden. I trust Derek Carr. I trust Derek Carr probably more than Gruden does, but that's not saying much. But I don't think I'm going to go with a running back on the Raiders. I just don't think I can do that in a good state of mind and ignore David Montgomery. It's an individual award. Rookie of the Year is an individual award. Saquon Barkley last year proved that. The Giants went 5-11. Saquon Barkley had an exceptional year last year. Exceptional year. Deserved Rookie of the Year. He had a great year. But the team was terrible. But his individual stats were so good it warranted Offensive Rookie of the Year. I agree with the decision, and I believe because of this, it's an individual award. David Montgomery is going to put up over 1,000 rushing yards, I believe, and finish about 250 to 300 receiving yards. He's going to have a very solid season, one that's better than Josh Jacobs, one that's better than Kyler Murray, I believe. Kyler Murray is dealing with an O-line that might as well not exist. The O-line might as well not show up. They have an inexperienced coach who the only reason he got the job is because he had Patrick. He worked with Patrick Mahomes. That's the only reason he got the job. This offense might turn this offense is either going to flop completely or turn the NFL into the Big 12. That's it. There's no in between. And I can't, with a good state of mind, put a young quarterback with an inexperienced coach ahead of a running back, which is more of an individual position. So with all that being said, I'm going with David Montgomery as my Rookie of the Year. Next, let's go to the other side of the ball. Defensive Rookie of the Year. Now, I have a pick for this that I think is going to be my favorite, and then I have a sleeper. First off, let's start with the one that is I'm more confident with, and that's Devin Bush of the Steelers. He first jumped off my screen at the combine. 4.30, a 21 rep bench press, 40-inch vertical. The kid is a freak of nature. He's absurdly athletic. He's the perfect will linebacker in today's NFL. Compact, fast, explosive off the edge. He had a pressure rate of 28.9% in Michigan. He gets to the quarterback, and he gets to them fast. And it's not just unblocked attempts. You put him in a blitz package, he's getting to the quarterback, but he can also move O-linemen around. The only thing that hurts him, in my opinion, is the fact that he's not a playmaker. The fact that he doesn't turn the ball over. In 32 games at Michigan, he had 1 interception. He's not very good in coverage. That's the reason that this season, the whole debate between linebackers was Devin Bush, Devin White. Devin White is a better playmaker. But in a defense like the Steelers, who have drafted to improve the D-line, TJ Watt is a stud. He fits better. He fits very well with his team. He can get to the quarterback fast off the edge, blitz packages, third down blitz. He is going to do exceptional in this season. You can expect sacks, like I've said, and you can expect tackles. I'm locking in Devin White as my most likely defensive rookie of the year, and my sleeper is somebody that on my team, I'm a Cowboys fan. I knew nothing about this kid, and that's Donovan Wilson, safety. Drafted in the 6th round by the Cowboys out of Texas A&M. This kid has jumped off my screen like Dak Prescott did in his preseason games as a rookie. He led the league in interceptions this year in preseason. Yes, I understand it's preseason. I don't put a lot of faith into those numbers, but still, it's very impressive when you're posting up 3 interceptions in 4 games. He is electric. I believe he's going to start over Jeff Heath about 4 games in the season. About the same amount of games it took Leighton Vander Esch to secure the starting job and starting reps. Leighton Vander Esch, I believe, was a top 2 defensive rookie of the year. I understand why they gave it to Darius Leonard last year. He had more turnovers of the ball, and he looked amazing as well. The homer in me wants to go for Leighton Vander Esch last season, but still I understand the voting. And I think we're going to look at the same situation with Donovan Wilson. He's going to start somewhat into the season, about a quarter in, maybe less if he's lucky, and he's going to make an impact by turning the ball over. I don't think it's a stretch to think that he's going to put up the most interceptions out of any rookie drafted this season. Greedy Williams is a contender. The kid that the Patriots took before Greedy Williams is a contender. This year was very, 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 very talented on the defensive side. But what Donovan Wilson has showed me so far is enough to get me thinking that there is a good chance that this kid can win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Like I said, he's my sleeper. He's behind Devin Bush. I'm not going to put somebody that I've only seen hop off my screen in preseason ahead of Devin Bush. So I'm going to have my sleeper. Devin Bush is my more favorite, my more locked-in one. And yeah, that covers both my Rookie of the Years, Defensive Rookie of the Year and Offensive Rookie of the Year. And with my briefest segment, let's go over Defensive Player of the Year. Aaron Donald. It's just going to be Aaron Donald. He might be the most athletic defensive tackle I've ever seen. No man at his size should be able to move with the speed he is able to move at. The Rams, it seems, every other week post a video of him doing an agility drill and just dusting people. He is such a freak of nature that it's just terrifying. He dominates. There is such a large gap between him and the second best defensive tackle that it is absurd. You look at linebackers. There's not even that much of a gap between Khalil Mack, Luke Kuechly, Bobby Wagner, any of those guys. The gap is closer. You look at corners. Jalen Ramsey, Josh Norman, any other corner, Marcus Peters. There's a gap. But then you look at defensive tackle. It's Aaron Donald and everybody else. It's not even close. He dominates the D-line. He can decide the game for you. Look at last year with the Cowboys. They were able to slow down the Cowboys' rush game in the playoffs, and it led to the Rams winning. And C.J. Anderson playing like a bowling ball, just bouncing off and crucifying the Dallas Cowboys defense. But still, Aaron Donald can shut down a game for you. He can destroy the offensive rushing attack. He can pressure the quarterback. He is an incredibly versatile player. He is, in my opinion, the best player, I'm going to say it, in all the NFL. He is so dominant at his position. I think that if I was starting a team today, and I had the first pick in a fantasy draft, every player, real life, I'm taking Aaron Donald. I'm taking Aaron Donald 9 times out of 10. He is the only other player I would consider taking ahead of him is Patrick Mahomes. The only reason that I'm taking Aaron Donald so many times over Patrick Mahomes is because I've only seen Patrick Mahomes one season. There's a chance he could have a sophomore slump and drop off in stats. Still, if he drops off in stats, that's not saying much because he did so well last season. A drop-off is only realistic. But Aaron Donald is such an outstanding player that I think it's just a lock to have him as Defensive Player of the Year. I just think it's a lock. He's only improving. I just think that is the simplest answer I have on this video, easily, shortest segment. Aaron Donald, Aaron Donald, Aaron Donald. Alright, now I'm going to get into some individual statistical awards. I'm going to start off first with the passing leader this year. I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes again. I think he's going to fall off slightly, like I said before. That's only realistic. I think he'll fall off, I don't know, maybe 200 to 300 yards, maybe 3 to 4 touchdowns, and add 3 to 4 interceptions. A small fall off, considering what he put up last season. I think that offense is just better. It's just getting better. It's just that offense is not gonna get worse. The only thing that's gonna affect them is the fact that teams now have more film on Patrick Mahomes and game plan better. I just think that he's going to win. Is going to have the passing. Just going to win the passing award. My second place is Ben Roethlisberger. I just think that Ben Roethlisberger just gets it done for some reason. I don't know why. Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be receiver number 1 for the first time in his career. That's going to be great for him. That's going to be amazing. Big Ben doesn't have to deal with the Antonio Brown drama. If you want to say Big Ben contributed to the drama, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not. That whole locker room is a fiasco with Antonio Brown in there. You can say with Big Ben. You can also say with Le'Veon Bell in there. But Le'Veon Bell didn't have this much drama on him. The only drama Le'Veon Bell ever had was with his holdout. So I think that it's just going to go Patrick Mahomes, Big Ben, and for my third, I might put Baker Mayfield down. I already have him as my MVP. Adding Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry to Jarvis Landry was there last season, but adding Odell Beckham Jr., David Njoku's only going to get better. It's not too far off for me. Next, let's get a running back. I'm going with my gut. I'm going with Ezekiel Elliott. He just re-signed. That Cowboys O-line is going to be healthy for the first time in a year. They're getting Travis Frederick back from the brain disease, Guillain-Barré syndrome. He's going to come back. He looks good. La'el Collins just got a contract. That's going to incentivize him. La'el Collins moves like Larry Allen used to move. I'm not comparing them blocking-wise because Larry Allen is the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest O-lineman ever. But they move with the same speed, it seems. When La'el Collins moves upfield to set a block for Ezekiel Elliott, he's moving faster than linebackers half the time with his head start. He moves so incredibly fast that a lot of the time when Zeke goes for a screen, Whenever he goes for a screen and it's La'el Collins leading the block, I know already it's going to be a guaranteed gain of 8 to 10 yards. Easily. That's just how talented of a blocker he is. Coupled with a speed that's not normal for a lineman. They say he ran a 5.12. I'm calling BS. There is no way that man runs a 5.12 now, at least. They must have given him a speech coach or something, because he is fast as hell. At second, out of all running backs, now that I'm done raving about La'el Collins' speed, I have Saquon Barkley. The top two running backs this year are going to be in the NFC East. Saquon Barkley is the Giants' entire offense. Eli Manning's a shell of himself. Let's just admit that. Eli Manning has one foot out the door and the other on a banana peel. He's skating on ice and he's like, okay, might as well dance. Let me just go out here and see what I can do. The answer is he can do nothing. The Giants have played the Daniel Jones situation perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. They drafted the kid too high. That is not arguable. They could have gotten him with the 17th pick. They could have even gotten him in the second round. They drafted him too high. I think he's talented. My problem was never with his skill level. It was with the fact that they could have gotten more with their draft picks, and they didn't. But since that draft, they have managed this situation perfectly. They have leaked out to the public before that Daniel Jones looks perfect in practice. Eli's not doing too well. There's your first bit of information that's beginning to sway fans. Preseason, they put their starting O-line out there for an absurd amount of time compared to the normal amount of time teams put their starting offensive line out there. They put the starting offensive line out there with Daniel Jones, and they let him go to work. They gave him every single advantage possible to make this kid look good, and that is exactly what you're supposed to do. They made it so that everything that could go right for Daniel Jones went right. Eli Manning, he got a couple of passes. Eli Manning barely got full drives. He will go out there, throw 5 passes, complete 2 to 3 passes, and then head out. Daniel Jones was having perfect drives. They managed this perfectly. But they're going to start Eli Manning, at least for half the season, or at least until Eli gets injured. God forbid. I don't wish injuries on anybody. But until then, as long as Eli's quarterback, Saquon Barkley is that entire offense. Do I believe Daniel Jones is going to be able to come in week 8 and make life completely different in New York? No, but he's certainly going to be an improvement over Eli Manning. That's just a given. If he's not an improvement over Eli Manning, he better get out of the league right now. Saquon Barkley is the Giants' entire offense until Daniel Jones comes in and we see what they can do. They have injuries to their tight ends, to their receivers. The Giants' offense is falling apart. Saquon Barkley remains the only constant that is reliable in that offense. As long as they don't run him into the ground, he will be the second to first best running back in the league. It's him and Zeke. Him and Zeke are the two that I will fight to the death that are the best 2 running backs in the league. Saquon needs to improve on his ability to hit the hole, though. He doesn't run in between the tackles the way Zeke does. Partially because his O-line is not very good. His O-line played, contrary to what many believe, his O-line played pretty well last year, all things considered. Pretty well. He just needs to learn how to run between the tackles more, and you're looking at a player that hasn't been seen the likes of since Bo Jackson or Barry Sanders. That's how this kid moves. He is an exceptional runner. Exceptional. And he's an amazing pass receiver. He's an amazing receiver. But we're talking rushing yards, I have to give it to Zeke. I think Zeke is a better runner of the ball than Saquon, but Saquon is a better overall, all things considered. He doesn't fumble as much as Zeke, which is great. Gets more touchdowns because he's more versatile in the receiving game, even though Zeke is a very good receiver as well. I have Saquon as my second. My third, I might go, I'm between 2 players here. Both of them have either played for the Steelers or are former Steelers. I'm between James Conner and Le'Veon Bell. I was a huge James Conner fan last year, and I was a Le'Veon Bell fan before. Le'Veon Bell is at the Jets now. Young quarterback. We're going to rely on him a lot. They can use him in the receiving game a lot like he was used in Pittsburgh. James Conner did exceptionally well last year. Exceptionally well filling in the shoes of a top 2, top 3 best running back in the league when Le'Veon Bell did play. But let's just look at it like this. We don't know what Le'Veon's going to do. Le'Veon took a year off. Now, that can either mean two things. One, he's going to come back even better than before because he had all this time to rest, had all this time to take reps off, let his body heal. Or it's going to kill him because he didn't get those reps in. There's no in between. It's going to be one or the other. Personally, I think it's going to be that he is going to come back near the same player as. I think it's going to be a tiny bit worse just because of age, and the O-line of the Jets is not as good as the O-line of the Steelers. But I think it's going to be Le'Veon Bell, and I think right behind him is going to be James Conner. All right, speaking of Le'Veon Bell, let's get into comeback player of the year. The reason I want to say speaking of Le'Veon Bell is because I don't know if they're going to consider Le'Veon Bell as comeback player of the year. Comeback player of the year is usually a player that, due to injury or other personal event or personal illness, comes back the next season and outperforms expectations or goes above and beyond what they were before they got injured or any other situation occurs. Now, I don't think voters are going to consider Le'Veon Bell a serious contender for this award. I think because it was a self-induced holdout that Le'Veon Bell will not be considered for voting. Even if he was, though, I don't think he's winning. I think they're going to give the award to Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to bounce back and have a MVP caliber season. I don't think he's going to win it. Like I said before, my money is on Baker Mayfield. But I believe Aaron Rodgers is going to have an MVP caliber season. He's going to lead the Packers to winning their division with the Bears and the Vikings, my bad. He's going to lead them to a record of about 11-5, 12-4, and they are going to shock people in the playoffs. I think that we are looking at a Packers team that can go far potentially in the playoffs. But it all depends, once again, because these are players coming off of injuries, how Aaron Rodgers performs. I think he's going to perform well. I think he's going to have an MVP caliber season. I'm not necessarily worried about the injury. Aaron Rodgers. Like Stephen A. Smith, he is a bad man. Like Stephen A. Smith says, he is a bad man. He is one of the best players to have when the game is down to the wire. Let me plug the channel real quick. When the game is close, there's very few people I want besides Aaron Rodgers. Only one I can think of, really, is Tom Brady. Because when I watched Tom Brady play, this past season, when I was watching the AFC Championship game, and it was, obviously, we all know that Brady got a break. Brady did get a break because the Chiefs' because the D lineman went off sides. We all know that. But I was watching Brady drive down that field. There was not a doubt in my mind this man was going to score. There was not a doubt in my mind. He slow, methodical. They knew they were going to score. It was just a matter of how much time was going to be left on the clock. Aaron Rodgers does the same. I've seen what he's done against my Cowboys in the playoffs, and it is disgusting how this man can just ruin your hopes and dreams with under 2 minutes left. The other contender that I have for comeback player of the year, speaking of the Cowboys, is going to be Travis Frederick. When he is healthy, he is the best center in the league. Now, this isn't just a physical injury. This isn't just like an ACL, MCL, a broken collarbone, something like that. No, this is a brain injury. This is a brain disease. My bad. This is a serious thing that he had to fight. And I don't know how he's going to come back. I think that he's going to come back as a top 5 center. I'm not going to go get my hopes up and say that he's going to immediately return to the number 1 center position. I think that Jason Kelce, the Eagles center, is currently sitting at number 1 in the in just center rankings. If I'm going to make a list of all centers, I have him number 1. And I think that other centers that I can't necessarily name off the top of my head right now are just better. In his absence, they have rose to the occasion, performed beautifully, and I'm going to give them the advantage over somebody that has fought a very serious disease. My lock is going to be Aaron Rodgers. I think that it's going to be Aaron Rodgers by a decent amount unless he gets injured. Unless the Packers squander and just just do not show up to the table whatsoever, which I don't expect. New head coach that Aaron Rodgers might get along with. If they get along, you might be looking at NFC Championship to Super Bowl contender. That's just if they can get along, we're looking at something dangerous. In the NFL, if you have a good head coach and a good quarterback, you are set. You can build your team any way you see fit, and you will have success. Aaron Rodgers, number 1. Travis Frederick, number 2. Don't think they're going to include Le'Veon Bell as a serious contender in this because it's self-induced holdout. If they do, though, he overtakes Travis Frederick. I still think Aaron Rodgers wins. Alright, so I know I'm bouncing around a little bit, so let's go back to individual statistical awards. I'm going to finish off with receivers. Who I think is going to have the most receiving yards this season? I'm going to go with DeAndre Hopkins. He is by far and away my favorite receiver in the league, so I might be biased here, but he is an absolute stud. Deshaun Watson, I think, is going to have a very, very good year this season. I don't know why. I just feel it in my gut. I have a feeling this kid is going to show up and improve exponentially. And with that, DeAndre Hopkins is going to have an amazing season. Once again, I think last year he proved that he's the best receiver in the NFL far and away. Julio Jones took a long time to get back. Took a long time to catch a touchdown. He was on a touchdown drought. He was also sharing the field with Calvin Ridley if you want to use that as an excuse, but still, DeAndre Hopkins, I believe, is just a better player. DeAndre Hopkins is just a stud. I think he's better than Odell Beckham Jr. Odell Jr. is faster, obviously. I mean, that's just a given. The only person I think that's genuinely faster than Odell Beckham Jr. that's a top 10 running back, top 10 receiver is Tyreek Hill. That's the only person I think is faster, just up and down the field speed, is Odell Beckham Jr. I think he's faster in routes than Tyreek Hill. I think Odell Beckham Jr. is a faster and better route runner than Tyreek Hill. So I have DeAndre Hopkins, number 1. Second, I'm going to go with Julio Jones. I know I just dogged on him for not being able to catch touchdowns, but I don't care. Matt Ryan is Matt Ryan. Every single year he comes in, shows up, gets his yards, helps his receivers, gets out. Usually that getting out process means playoffs. Usually that's what it means. His division is easily the most difficult in the league, though. Panthers, Saints, Falcons. We don't speak of the Buccaneers. Easily the hardest division in the league, though. It's not even close. But I think Julio Jones is going to once again show up as a top 3 receiver. This has just become the norm. And I think he's going to come in second behind DeAndre Hopkins. Next, I'm going to go with Mike Evans. I'm sticking in this division. Like I said, we don't speak of the Buccaneers, but we can speak of the individual players. We don't speak of the Buccaneers as a team. We speak of the individual players. Jameis Winston is on the hot seat. He is on the hot seat right now. He needs to show up or show out. And while I don't like him very much, no, I do not like his character. I don't really like him. I don't like him as a person. I respect his ability, though. I respect his ability as a player. And I think he's going to adapt well to the pressure. I think he's going to keep his job, and I think he's going to have the best season he's ever had in the NFL this season. And a lot of that is going to be on the back and shoulders and hands of Mike Evans. The Buccaneers don't have a running back that is a star. They don't have a running back they can rely on heavily. This is going to be a pass-first team, extremely heavily pass-first team. If Jameis Winston goes down, however, scratch Mike Evans off the list, replace him with any other receiver. Replace him with Tyreek Hill, replace him with help, replace him with Antonio Brown, even though he's going to get suspended today because he was posting the private information with the Raiders on social media because he's an idiot. Replace him with anybody. But if Mike Evans, if Jameis Winston rises to the occasion, put Mike Evans on. Put Mike Evans on. Yes, I have him above Odell Beckham Jr. Why? Because Odell Beckham Jr. is sharing snaps with Jarvis Landry. I don't care how close friends Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. are. I don't care if they're brothers. Jarvis is going to want his 80 reps, his 80 receptions. Odell's going to want more than that. That ball is getting split. It's going to be like Russell Westbrook and James Harden. They're going to be fighting for receptions. They can smile, laugh it off, and everything. They're going to be fighting for receptions. So, Mike Evans at 3, Julio Jones at 2, and DeAndre Hopkins at 1. Alright, next up, I'm going to predict some defensive individual stat leaders. First off, I'm going to start with tackles. I believe that, and I believe this fully, 100%, Leighton Vander Esch is not only going to lead the league in tackles this year, he is going to show that he is the best linebacker in the league. I know it's a bold claim, but Leighton Vander Esch looks like a clone of Brian Urlacher. When the Cowboys selected Leighton Vander Esch, I was screaming I wanted Calvin Ridley. Because I knew the Cowboys' offense was going to be terrible in the passing game. And it was, until Jerry Jones went out and got Amari Cooper. I didn't know who this kid was. Out of Boise State, who is this? I didn't know who he was. When I saw him play, though, I knew immediately that I should know who he is. Because he's an animal. He doesn't miss tackles. Him and Jalen Smith are easily, far and away, the best linebacker duo in the league. Jalen Smith is the flashier player. Leighton Vander Esch doesn't miss. When he grabs a offensive player, they're not going anywhere. They are going into the ground for a loss. Leighton Vander Esch is maybe the most technically sound linebacker in the league. Everything that he's asked to do, he does it perfectly. And he doesn't, partially is because he's not asked to do much. Jalen Smith is the playmaker. Jalen Smith is the one that forced fumbles, the one that gets interceptions. Leighton Vander Esch just goes there and make tackles. He grabs you, and with other players, when other linebackers, when they make a tackle on a running back, for example, the running back gets about an extra yard just because of momentum. When Leighton Vander Esch hits a running back, they stop and go backwards. When the Cowboys played Saquon Barkley and the Giants, I'm gonna be honest, Jalen Smith was getting ragdolled a little bit. Saquon Barkley was just running through players. When he faced Leighton Vander Esch, though, Leighton Vander Esch made those tackles. He only had 2 interceptions last year, so I can understand where you say he's not the best in coverage. The second it's out of coverage, the second you get out of coverage and he sees you, you're getting tackled to the ground. He was a rookie last year. A rookie. Made the Pro Bowl. And like I said earlier, I mentioned this way earlier in the video. Second best defensive player. Second best defensive rookie of the year. I get why they put Darius Leonard down. I fully get why they put Darius Leonard down. That Colts defense was burgeoning, and they came out and they played like animals. Darius Leonard tied with Leighton Vander Esch in interceptions, 2 interceptions. He had 7 sacks and 4 forced fumbles, though. Darius Leonard is more versatile, but the tackling is just completely different. And Leighton Vander Esch didn't start the season. In Carolina, I was live at the game in Carolina. I went to the Carolina Cowboys game to open the season off. And it was immediately apparent that Sean Lee and Leighton Vander Esch were so far apart in skill level that it was a joke that we were putting Sean Lee out there. You get about 3 snaps with Sean Lee, and then he tears something. Or he gets concussed. Leighton Vander Esch this year is going to start the year, and he's going to ball out. He's going to have an amazing season. He's going to finish with, in my opinion, around, I don't know, probably in the range of 160 to 170 tackles this season. He's a stud, and I am extremely excited to see how he does. Next, let's talk about interceptions. I'm gonna go with the pick that's sort of it's mainstream. It's completely mainstream. I'm going with Kyle Fuller. That Chicago Bears defense just turns the ball over. They had 2 players in the top 4 for interceptions. Kyle Fuller and Eddie Jackson. Kyle Fuller had 7 interceptions. Eddie Jackson had 6. Kyle Fuller is an animal. He is an animal. He just gets that. He gives your offense a chance to go and just keep pushing the score higher and higher every single drive. You throw his way, you are risking interception. Is he one of the best corners in the league? I don't know, because I value coverage over interceptions more. I'm going to stick with the theme of Cowboys, because it's a team that I know in and out, know it better than any other team, is Byron Jones. Byron Jones and Kyle Fuller couldn't be different. Byron Jones very rarely gets interceptions, because he's a lockdown corner. He takes your receiver out of the game, and if you throw to him, he's going to deflect, he's going to move your receiver out of the way, he's not going to intercept us. That's why the Cowboys' safeties were getting more interceptions than their cornerbacks. Kyle Fuller and Byron Jones are completely different every single way. Kyle Fuller is a much flashier, more exciting player to watch. That's not even close. I'd much rather watch a Kyle Fuller game in, game out. But I don't think he's a top 3 corner. I think I have Jalen Ramsey, Byron Jones, and then an Xavier Howard, who, like Kyle Fuller, gets a lot of turnovers, or Marcus Peters. But I think it's going to be Kyle Fuller. I think you can make the argument. I think you can make the argument that we might have that Donovan Wilson, I'm sticking with Cowboys again and again and again, could be up there. Like I said, I think he has a very good chance to lead rookies in interceptions, but I think he has a very good chance to lead all teams, all players in interceptions. There's a lot of good corners down the board. A lot of good corners. Demarius Randall from the Browns, I think he's going to have a very good year as well. I think this whole Browns team got better. Both sides of the football got better. The only side that did not improve was the safeties. And with the safeties not getting improved, a lot of the pressure is going to fall on Demarius Randall, the only safety that is a clear lock for the best, just a clear lock as a Pro Bowl talent. Demarius Randall's going to have a very good season as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in second. Sacks. I'm going to continue my Aaron Donald fanboying, and I'm going to go with Aaron Donald. Like I said, I could go into ranting about how amazing he is again and again and again and again. I think he's going to have 21 sacks this year. I think he's going to one-up by 1/2 what he had this year. I think second place, I'm going with J.J. Watt. They just moved their linebacker. They just moved Jadeveon Clowney. You can call him a linebacker. He plays left end a lot. They just moved him, and J.J. Watt is going to have a field day now. J.J. Watt will put up around 18 to 20 sacks. It's going to be a lot closer than it was this year. Aaron Donald had a lead of about 4.5 sacks on J.J. Watt, who came in second place this year. That's going to shrink down. Just because they lost Jadeveon Clowney, a great blitzing linebacker / left end, because Jadeveon Clowney fits into the same mold that Khalil Mack does. He plays D-line a lot, but he's also a linebacker. And then third, I think for sacks, I think I'm going to go with Daniel Hunter from Minneapolis. 14.5 sacks last year. I think he's going to consistently improve. I think he's going to improve again. I like his game. I like Minnesota this year. I like them, but they are in such a heavily stacked division. I don't know if they're gonna make the playoffs. The Bears, like I said, great corners. Khalil Mack. I don't know how you can ignore him. I like Trubisky. I like their head coach. Like their general manager. I don't know if Minnesota can get into the playoffs with them in their way. But I think Daniel Hunter's still going to have a exceptional year. Speaking about winning divisions, let's get into who I think is going to win each division. And I'll give a record of the top guy, and I'll give you my wild cards. So let's start in the NFC. I'm going to start in the division that I know best. And that is the NFC East. Now, I hate predicting injuries. I hate it, but I have to do it. It's the same way I look at in basketball, Derrick Rose doing well, and I know in my heart of hearts, I love this guy. He's not going to finish the season. I hate it, but it's the truth. And that's the way I look at Carson Wentz. I will be shocked if Carson Wentz plays the whole duration of the season without injury. I think that the pressure of not having a Nick Foles to come and bail him out if he gets injured is going to not only affect him, but affect the team around him. They were building shrines to Nick Foles. Players in the locker room. Shrines to Nick Foles. I can't sit up here and say, oh, that's not going to be a loss. Oh, it's going to be a loss. It's going to be a huge loss. And because of this, their defense improved. They got Jordan Howard. They got Deshaun Jackson. They did everything right. I just don't trust their quarterback. I trust him when he's healthy, but I haven't seen him in the playoffs. I haven't seen him in a clutch scenario. Every time they've played the Cowboys and it's gone down to a clutch scenario, Dak Prescott has outperformed him in the clutch. I don't trust him in clutch scenarios, and I don't trust his injuries. I don't trust his health. Your best ability is your availability, and when it's a strong probability that you're not going to be there, I can't pick you over a team with a quarterback that has never gotten injured, that has never missed a game. So I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys to win the NFC East. And it's going to be a close battle. I think Carson Wentz is going to get hurt late in the year. I hope I'm wrong. If Carson Wentz stays healthy, the Eagles win with relative ease in the NFC East. I think the Cowboys will finish with a record of 10-6, 10-6 to 11-5, and the Eagles finish with around the same record, only missing because of Carson Wentz's injury. Well, let me say this: Eagles are also going to be my wild card. Eagles are going to be one of my wild cards, and because of that, I think they're going to have around the same record as the Cowboys. The Cowboys will have the advantage of the games won, meaning that they will win the division and get and get into the playoffs. Eagles will slip in with ease though into the playoffs, regardless of what time Carson Wentz gets injured. As long as it's not the start of the year, as long as it's not the start of the year, the Eagles will make the playoffs. What they'll do after, if Carson Wentz isn't there for the playoffs, that's a mystery. Let's see what quarterback Doug Peterson can pull out of a hat. Let's go to the NFC North. I think I mentioned it before. This is also one of the best divisions in the NFL. I have the Packers going 12-4. I am expecting a season from Aaron Rodgers that is going to be exceptional. I think he's going to come in second in MVP voting. I think he's going to go Baker, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes' fall off is what is going to demote him to third. I think he's going to put up better numbers than Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers' story is better. Everybody seems to love Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is going to get more votes than Patrick Mahomes. I think this Packer team goes 12-4. And might be the best team in the NFC. I'm sold on this team. And I don't like the Packers because of what they've done to my Cowboys, but they have sold me completely. In this division also comes my other wild card. I think the Bears get the wild card and the Vikings miss the playoffs. Next, NFC South. In my opinion, this is the best division in the NFL. NFC North might have the second best division. I think this is far and away the best division in the NFL. Panthers, Saints, Falcons. Once again, we don't speak of the Buccaneers, we speak of the individual players on this channel. And the Panthers, they follow a pattern. Cam Newton follows the win-loss, win-loss, win-loss pattern every single year. Cam Newton has never had a back-to-back winning season. Let that sink in. Cam Newton, MVP, Super Bowl. He's played in a Super Bowl. Never had back-to-back winning seasons. Until he got crushed by TJ Watt, Panthers looked good. Really good. Now, if Cam Newton's shoulder is healed up, he can throw the ball now, I think they win the division. Now, with both my wild cards out of the way, and I'm saying the Panthers win the division, I'm saying that Saints and Falcons miss. Falcons, I think when it comes down to it, have the least amount of talent out of the big three in this division, Panthers, Saints, Falcons. I think they have the least amount of talent, meaning that they'll miss. The Saints. How could I say the Saints are going to miss the playoffs when they made the NFC Championship last year? Simple. They are still thinking about that pass interference. That pass interference is going to haunt every one of their dreams for the rest of their lives. They have not stopped thinking about this. They got a rule change because of this. Let me go on a little rant about this rule change real quick. Tight ends are about to have the greatest year in NFL history. Oh my God, tight ends are about to. George Kittle is going to be a top. Is going to be a top five player in receiving yards. That's how confident I am that this rule is going to screw everybody but tight ends over. Just imagine for a second if Gronkowski was playing in the league with this rule. Gronk would have 16 plus receiving yards with ease and an unholy amount of touchdowns. Why? Because Gronkowski was so physically dominant that corners could go on his back, get him in a chokehold, and the refs wouldn't call anything because they felt sorry for them. Now, with Belichick, you think Belichick is stupid enough not to abuse this rule? Oh, Belichick is going to abuse this rule. Every coach that have a brain cell is going to abuse this rule. If Gronkowski was still playing, every time Gronk got held in the end zone, it would be flag, challenge. Gronkowski held in the end zone, half the distance to the goal line, 50 plus yards. They would keep going. Half the Patriots' yards would be off of pass interferences with Gronkowski. It would be absurd. That rule would have a chance to ruin the league. That's how dominant he would be in today's league. And this goes for all tight ends, because all tight ends, 9 out of 10 tight ends are the biggest eligible receiver on the team. Most of them are 6'6" with ease. 6'6", 250, 6'6", 220, 260. These are big guys that are all getting held. Maybe not to the extent of Gronk, because Gronkowski is a physical specimen. But still. This rule is going to screw everybody by tight ends. Yes, some teams will be able to abuse it with receivers that are bigger. A Julio Jones, a DeAndre Hopkins, receivers that are bigger. But tight ends are going to abuse this. It's gonna be bad for the first couple weeks. It's going to be bad. Back to the Saints. They still are having nightmares about this pass interference. I think that is going to affect their psyche, and I think that Drew Brees' arm began to fall off at the end of the season. He did not look like the same player. Alvin Kamara is a stud. But I don't think this Saints team is going to be what they used to be. I think the Saints are going to come in second in this division. I think Panthers are going to finish number 1 in the division. Saints coming in second and missing the playoffs because I already have my 2 wild card teams. Next up, let's look at, in my opinion, the weakest division in the NFC. Cardinals, Niners, Seahawks, Rams. Before I say this, let's just say the NFC is so far leaps and bounds ahead of the AFC in talent all around, it's ridiculous. I am cutting teams from the playoffs that have so much talent and in the AFC would win divisions with ease. But because the NFC is so stacked, I just feel bad. I'm cutting teams that have so much talent, but I just have to. But let's just look at this for 1 second. 49ers, Seahawks, Rams, and the Cardinals. The Cardinals are out of here. Let's just be honest. Cardinals are out of here unless Kyler Murray comes out and shows that he's just a god, apparently. There's nothing to worry about. There's just not gonna. He's just not doing anything. The O-line's terrible. They're not going to do anything special. Cardinals are out. Rams, 49ers, Seahawks. I'm a huge Russell Wilson fan. They got Jadeveon Clowney. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. He has weapons. They're a contender. Rams, Jared Goff. They just gave him a huge extension. Rams have stayed mostly the same team. Haven't done anything stupid this offseason. Still a contender. 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo. Don't trust him. Sorry. Don't trust him. New England has an amazing system. I'm not one to call Tom Brady a system quarterback, but let's just admit that they have an outstanding system, and quarterbacks that are from that system go to other teams don't often do so well. Just look at coaches. Matt Patricia from the Patriots to the Lions. He's on Detroit. Detroit sucks. They always have sucked. Sorry, Matt Patricia. Not going so. You're out of Belichick's system. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo and the Rams are going to do anything special. I think they go under Vegas' prediction of 9 wins. I think they finish with 8-8. Seahawks and Rams now. I'm going with the Rams. I'm going with the Rams. I don't think they're going to drop off very much from a Super Bowl caliber season last year. I think Jared Goff is going to learn from his mistakes and bounce back. I have a lot of faith in Jared Goff. I think that they're going to perform better than the Seahawks, and I think that in the end, I think the Seahawks are going to miss. I think the Seahawks are going to miss. And it's for no other reason besides the fact that I think their division is going to have a lot of competition. A lot of competition between the 49ers, Rams, and Seahawks. And I think the 49ers are going to play spoiler ball down the road and ruin the Seahawks' chances of making the playoffs. Now that I have the gladiatory arena that is the NFC off the board, let's go to the AFC. Okay, AFC East. Yeah, Patriots. No, nothing else. Skipping it. Moving on. AFC North. I'm going with the Browns. For a large portion of the season, I had the Steelers still winning. I had a lot of faith in the Steelers, and I still do. I still think the Steelers are going to make the playoffs as a wild card, so that's my wild card right there. But I have to go with the Browns. I just have to go with the Browns, all things considered. I think that this team runs a very high chance of implosion due to locker rooms, just the egos in the locker room. But I have faith in Baker Mayfield. I have faith in the second-year quarterback, and I have said he's going to be MVP. I think he's going to win the division. I think the Browns are going to show up, show out, win the division, and shock people. AFC South. Colts were my pick. Colts were far and away my pick. Not anymore. Nope, not anymore. I cannot put them there anymore without Andrew Luck. Can't do it. I can't force myself to do it. Because of that, let's move on. Titans? No. Mariota's ceiling is incredibly low, I believe, and I am not going to put him leading a team to the playoffs with a state of mind that's not induced on crack cocaine. I am not putting the Titans in the playoffs. So that leaves 2 teams, Texans and Jaguars. I think the Jaguars are going to make the playoffs with Nick Foles. I have an immense amount of faith in Nick Foles. I am convinced that the Eagles should have kept Nick Foles, traded Carson Wentz. Because the same reason I think the Philadelphia Eagles should have moved on from Joel Embiid, same reason I think that the Philadelphia Eagles should have moved on from Carson Wentz. Injuries too high of a risk. Move on, get your picks, move on with a cheaper quarterback, and Nick Foles, build around him, and win another Super Bowl. If the Eagles kept Nick Foles, traded Carson Wentz, got picks, or got another player, I think the Eagles win the Super Bowl. But they didn't. And because of that, I don't think they're going to make the NFC. I don't think they're going to make the NFC Championship this year. So I have the Jaguars coming out of there, and my second wildcard team is the Texans. I have faith in Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins, like I mentioned earlier when I was talking about. I believe DeAndre Hopkins will lead the NFL in receiving yards, and I don't think they're going to be dealing with the fiasco of Jadeveon Clowney anymore. I think J.J. Watt's going to have an exceptional season. I think the defense is going to improve a little bit. The team all around is just good. I like the team. Don't trust their head coach as much. But I think they are the most viable second wild card available. I'm not gonna. Who else can I choose as a wild card? The Bills, the Ravens, the Chargers. I'll get into the Chargers later. I do not have the Chargers doing nearly as well they did last year. So I have the Jaguars win the division, Texans coming out wild card, and let's move on to the AFC West. Raiders, hate them. Broncos, don't care. Chiefs, we'll get into my Super Bowl predictions right after this, and you'll see what I think about the Chiefs. Needless to say, I have them winning the division. Chargers, your own line's injured. Russell Okun's out. Derwin James, your most athletic defensive player, out. Phillip Rivers aging. Melvin Gordon, nobody knows what's going on with that holdout. Austin Eckler will do well. He's not filling those shoes exceptionally well. Keenan Allen's a stud. But I don't believe they can. I do not believe they can pick up where they were last season. So I believe the Chiefs will win. Chargers miss the playoffs. Now, drum roll, please. The moment you've all been waiting for. Down to the wire Super Bowl prediction. Out of the AFC, I have the Kansas City Chiefs representing the AFC. I have them beating Tom Brady and the Patriots in the AFC Championship, getting revenge and moving on to the Super Bowl. I believe that the Chiefs are going to play exceptionally well. Once again, Patrick Mahomes is going to have a great season once again, and they are going to get revenge on the Patriots. That game, I'm going to say it right now, the AFC Championship game is going to be more entertaining than the Super Bowl this year. Because when the Patriots and the Chiefs match up in the AFC Championship, you can expect fireworks, tensions are going to run high. It is going to be prime entertainment. And I think the Chiefs are going to come out of it in a very close game. Very close game. They're going to come out of the AFC Championship. Now, who is going to represent the NFC in my predictions? Like I said, NFC, most stacked conference. What do I think is going to happen? Ladies and gentlemen, my money is on Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. I am sold on this team. And I've never been sold on a Packers team before. I have an immense amount of faith in this team. Devontae Adams is a stud. Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. New head coach, if they can get along, that's the key. If Aaron Rodgers and this head coach can get along, they're going to make the Super Bowl a lot easier than I expect. Because it's going to be a hard-fought battle. They're going to have to play the Cowboys or Eagles in the playoffs. If the Eagles have Carson Wentz, that's going to be a very tough game. Cowboys with a healthy Cowboys, very tough game. I pray to God that the Cowboys win. I pray on everything. Doubt it's going to happen though, because the Packers just have our number, and I've just accepted it at this point. It's going to be a very tough road to the Super Bowl, but I believe not the Panthers. I believe the Packers will get to the Super Bowl this year. Hurts me to say it, but I'm realistic, and I'm going to go with them. I'm going with the Packers and Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Now, let's go to who I think is going to win the Super Bowl. I think the 100th year of the NFL's existence is not, the Super Bowl champion is not going to be the most historically famous team. It is not going to be the Packers. It is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes wins a Super Bowl in his second year, MVP his first year. Patrick Mahomes is going to cement his legacy beginning this season with a Super Bowl victory. It's going to be an extraordinarily exciting game. Unlike this year's, let's just be honest, this past season's Super Bowl was not very exciting. I enjoyed exciting defense, but the majority of people watching, defense doesn't really float your guys' boats. I understand you like high-scoring games, a playmaking on both sides of the ball. I get it. But this season's Super Bowl is going to be impressive, to say the least. I am excited for this season, 100th season. I pray to the football gods that the Dallas Cowboys make the Super Bowl, win it, blow out the Patriots 58 to nothing. Will that happen? Hell no. But I'm realistic. I'm a dreamer. I hope the Cowboys win. Will they? Probably not. I'm excited for this season. I'm excited to bring you guys content. I know this video has been a crawl to watch. I think my runtime's over an hour right now. This is more of a podcast setup than usual. There's not going to be a lot of exciting editing going on. It's probably just going to be a picture of, like, I don't know. It's probably just going to be a picture the whole way like a normal podcast is. And yeah, I'm excited to get back into uploading. Hope you guys are excited to see me more content. If you guys want to help me out, leave comments down below. If you really enjoyed, consider liking or subscribing, please. I appreciate that. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.